In 2016, a mysterious ailment began affecting American and Canadian diplomats in Cuba. What started as strange sounds followed by debilitating symptoms would soon become a global medical enigma that continues to baffle experts today. This is the story of Havana Syndrome, a perplexing condition that has affected over 200 government officials worldwide, damaged diplomatic relations, and sparked theories ranging from advanced weapons technology to mass psychogenic illness. Join us as we unravel one of the most puzzling medical mysteries of the 21st century. Late 2016 in Havana, Cuba. American and Canadian diplomats began reporting disturbing and unexplainable experiences. They described hearing unusual sounds, grinding, buzzing, piercing noises that seemed to come from specific directions. These sounds were immediately followed by intense pressure sensations in their heads, dizziness, and cognitive difficulties. What made these incidents particularly strange was their directional nature. The sounds and sensations would stop when the person moved to another room or area. Most incidents occurred at night in diplomatic residences rather than embassy buildings. By 2017, the U.S. State Department confirmed that 24 government employees and family members had been affected by what would soon be called Havana Syndrome. The timing couldn't have been more sensitive. These incidents occurred just as the United States and Cuba were experiencing a diplomatic thaw. President Obama had re-established relations with Cuba in 2015 after decades of isolation, and the U.S. Embassy in Havana had only recently reopened. This fragile progress would soon be undermined as the State Department, concerned for staff safety, reduced its embassy to emergency personnel only, effectively reversing years of diplomatic advancement. The symptoms reported by Havana Syndrome victims form a complex and debilitating constellation of neurological issues. Victims typically experience severe headaches that can last for days or even months. Many report persistent dizziness and balance problems that make even simple movements challenging. Tinnitus, a constant ringing or buzzing in the ears, plagues many of the affected individuals. Perhaps most concerning are the cognitive effects, memory problems, difficulty concentrating, and mental fog that interferes with daily functioning. Sleep disturbances become common, with many victims developing insomnia or experiencing unusually vivid dreams. Beyond these subjective reports, objective medical testing has revealed concrete abnormalities. A groundbreaking 2019 study published in JAMA found evidence of actual brain alterations in 40 affected diplomats compared to healthy control subjects. The imaging showed reduced white matter volume and functional connectivity in the auditory and visuospatial networks. What makes these findings particularly striking is that these brain changes were observed in patients without any history of head trauma. They had experienced something akin to a concussion without a concussion, as described by researchers at the University of Pennsylvania Center for Brain Injury and Repair. The neurological impact has been life-altering. Some diplomats have been forced into early retirement as their persistent symptoms interfere with their ability to perform complex cognitive tasks. Others continue to struggle with balance and spatial orientation issues that complicate even routine activities. Long-term follow-up studies show variable recovery patterns. While some patients improve over time, others suffer from chronic symptoms years after their initial exposure, further complicating our understanding of the underlying mechanism of injury. What began as a localized phenomenon in Havana soon spread across the globe in an alarming pattern. By 2021, over 200 American officials had reported symptoms consistent with Havana Syndrome, spanning multiple continents and countries. New cases emerged in China, where American diplomats stationed in Guangzhou reported identical symptoms to their colleagues in Cuba. Then Russia, long a center of diplomatic tension, saw multiple cases among U.S. personnel. European countries weren't spared either. Austria, Serbia, and Germany all reported incidents among American officials. The syndrome continued its global march, appearing in Vietnam and India. Perhaps most disturbing were the cases that emerged on American soil, near the White House itself and in suburban Virginia, bringing the mysterious threat directly to the heart of American government. The geographical distribution revealed intriguing patterns that caught the attention of intelligence analysts. Cases predominantly occurred in countries with significant Russian intelligence presence, and many affected individuals were working on Russia-related issues at the time of their exposure. This pattern led some national security experts to suspect Russian involvement, particularly given Russia's documented research into directed energy technologies during the Cold War era. The Vienna incidents of 2021 proved particularly troubling. Vienna has long been considered a hub of international espionage, hosting numerous international organizations and diplomatic missions. When dozens of U.S. officials reported symptoms there, it reinforced concerns about deliberate targeting rather than environmental factors or mass psychogenic illness. The global spread transformed what might have been dismissed as a localized anomaly into a pattern that demanded serious investigation at the highest levels of government. As cases multiplied, so did theories attempting to explain the mysterious syndrome. The directed energy weapon hypothesis quickly gained prominence. Proponents suggested that microwave radiation or other directed energy technologies could affect neural functioning without leaving external marks. Such weapons could theoretically be deployed from a distance, explaining the directional nature of the sounds and the absence of physical evidence. The technology for such weapons has been researched since the Cold War. Early investigations also focused on sonic or ultrasonic weapons, devices that could project harmful sound waves toward specific targets. However, many scientists questioned whether sound alone could produce the observed neurological effects, particularly the brain changes documented in medical studies. The pattern of symptoms led some researchers to propose mass psychogenic illness as an explanation. This theory suggests that while initial cases may have had a physical cause, subsequent reports could represent a form of psychogenic contagion, particularly given the high-stress environments in which diplomats work. However, the objective brain changes found in victims complicate this explanation. Environmental factors were thoroughly investigated as well. Researchers examined possible exposure to pesticides, chemical agents, or local environmental conditions unique to diplomatic housing. Most of these explanations were largely ruled out as the primary cause, especially as cases spread globally to diverse environments. The targeting pattern, primarily affecting intelligence and diplomatic personnel, has consistently led to speculation about foreign adversarial involvement. The geographic correlation with Russian intelligence presence has kept Russia as a primary suspect, though China has also been suggested. The intelligence community remains divided on which theory best explains all aspects of the syndrome. In 2023, after years of investigation, 7 U.S. intelligence agencies completed a comprehensive assessment of Havana Syndrome. Their conclusions revealed the complexity and continued uncertainty surrounding the phenomenon. 5 of the agencies determined it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary was responsible for the symptoms through a directed energy weapon or other means. This majority view represented a significant shift from earlier suspicions of deliberate attacks. However, the assessment was not unanimous. 2 agencies, including the CIA, maintained a lower confidence level in this conclusion, indicating continued uncertainty at the highest levels of intelligence analysis. Perhaps most significantly, the assessment acknowledged that some cases, particularly the original Cuba incidents and several others, remained unexplained by conventional means. These cases exhibited features that continue to perplex medical and technical experts, including the directional nature of the perceived sounds and the clustering of cases among intelligence personnel. The split assessment reflects the extraordinary difficulty in reaching definitive conclusions about Havana Syndrome. The intelligence community, with all its resources and expertise, remains divided, a testament to the genuine mystery at the heart of this phenomenon. Meanwhile, research continues on multiple fronts. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, continues investigating potential mechanisms by which directed energy could affect brain function. Their research has explored how pulsed electromagnetic energy and ultrasound might interact with neural tissue to produce the symptoms reported by victims. For those affected by Havana Syndrome, the impact has been profound and life-altering. Career diplomats and intelligence officers who once navigated complex international situations now struggle with basic cognitive tasks. Many describe a before and after divide in their lives, careers interrupted, abilities diminished, and daily functioning compromised. The neurological damage has forced some into early retirement, while others continue to serve but with accommodations for their new limitations. Sleep disturbances and chronic pain have become constant companions for many victims. The U.S. government's response evolved from initial skepticism to formal recognition and support. In 2021, Congress passed the HAVANA Act, authorizing financial compensation for affected government employees. This legislation officially acknowledged that, regardless of the cause, these individuals had suffered real injuries in the line of duty. Implementing this compensation program has proven challenging due to the difficulty of establishing objective diagnostic criteria for a condition with such diverse and subjective symptoms. The National Institutes of Health established specialized protocols for evaluating and treating individuals with suspected Havana Syndrome, creating a standardized approach to diagnosis and care. Meanwhile, the State Department and other agencies dramatically revised their security protocols for diplomatic facilities worldwide. Personnel are now trained to recognize potential symptoms and immediately report unusual sensory experiences. Some facilities have installed detection equipment designed to identify directed energy emissions, regardless of whether such weapons are ultimately proven to be the cause. For the diplomatic community, Havana Syndrome has added a new dimension of risk to foreign service, the possibility of invisible attacks that leave no conventional evidence but can cause lasting neurological damage. The mystery of Havana Syndrome has catalyzed new research at the intersection of neuroscience, physics, and medicine. Scientists are developing enhanced brain imaging techniques capable of detecting subtle changes in neural structure and function. These advances may benefit not only Havana Syndrome victims, but also patients with other complex neurological conditions. Research into the potential effects of directed energy on biological systems has accelerated. Scientists are conducting controlled experiments to understand how different forms of energy, from microwave radiation to ultrasonic waves, interact with brain tissue. This research must navigate ethical limitations, as human experimentation with potentially harmful energies is not possible. Instead, researchers use sophisticated models in animal studies where appropriate. The medical community has gained valuable insights into the brain's response to unusual environmental stimuli. Neurologists are developing new frameworks for understanding injuries that don't fit traditional categories. The concussion without concussion phenomenon observed in Havana Syndrome patients may help explain other mysterious neurological conditions. Diagnostic protocols have evolved to better capture the constellation of symptoms associated with the syndrome. Clinicians now have more sophisticated tools to evaluate balance disturbances, cognitive impairment, and auditory processing issues in combination, rather than as isolated symptoms. Treatment approaches continue to develop as well. While there is no cure for Havana Syndrome, rehabilitation specialists have created targeted programs addressing the specific neurological deficits observed in patients. Cognitive rehabilitation, vestibular therapy, and novel approaches to managing tinnitus have all shown promise in helping victims recover functionality, even if complete resolution remains elusive for many. The Havana Syndrome phenomenon has had far-reaching geopolitical consequences, regardless of its ultimate cause. U.S.-Cuba relations, which had been warming after decades of tension, were severely damaged by the initial incidents. The reduction of embassy staff to emergency personnel only effectively reversed years of diplomatic progress. Cuba has consistently denied any involvement or knowledge of the cause, but the incidents created lasting suspicion between the countries. If the syndrome does represent a deliberate attack by a foreign adversary, it demonstrates a concerning new frontier in asymmetric warfare. Traditional definitions of armed conflict may need reconsideration if nations can target each other's personnel without conventional weapons. The targeting pattern, primarily affecting intelligence and diplomatic personnel, suggests a potential attempt to disrupt U.S. intelligence gathering and diplomatic functions around the world. The incidents have prompted a fundamental reevaluation of diplomatic security. Embassies and consulates worldwide have implemented new protective measures, from enhanced electronic surveillance to architectural modifications designed to block potential energy weapons. The syndrome has also affected diplomatic staffing decisions. Some personnel have become reluctant to accept postings in locations where incidents have occurred, creating challenges for maintaining diplomatic presence in certain countries. Intelligence agencies worldwide are now investing in both offensive and defensive directed energy research, regardless of whether such weapons caused Havana Syndrome. The mere possibility has accelerated what may become a new type of arms race focused on non-conventional, difficult-to-attribute technologies. The syndrome highlights the vulnerability of diplomatic personnel serving abroad and raises profound questions about the nature of modern espionage and asymmetric warfare in an age of advanced technologies. Despite years of investigation by the world's premier intelligence agencies, advanced scientific research, and medical studies, the Havana Syndrome remains fundamentally unexplained. The intelligence community's inability to reach a unanimous conclusion reflects the extraordinary complexity of this phenomenon. It sits at the intersection of neuroscience, physics, medicine, and geopolitics, a reminder that despite our technological advancement, unexplained phenomena can still emerge and challenge our understanding of the world. What makes the mystery particularly compelling is the combination of subjective reports with objective medical findings. The brain alterations documented in affected individuals cannot be explained away as purely psychological, yet no conventional physical cause has been definitively identified. The directional nature of the reported sounds and the ability of victims to escape symptoms by moving to another room remain particularly puzzling aspects that no theory fully explains. The clustering of cases among intelligence personnel and in countries with adversarial intelligence presence suggests patterns that are difficult to dismiss as coincidental. Yet the lack of definitive evidence of an attack mechanism has prevented firm conclusions about foreign involvement. The syndrome has become a modern medical mystery that may take years or even decades to fully resolve. Historical parallels exist, from the Moscow signal of the Cold War era, when microwave radiation was detected targeting the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, to other mysterious conditions that were initially dismissed but later found to have physical causes. As research continues, the medical community has gained valuable insights into the brain's response to unusual environmental stimuli. Whether the final explanation involves hostile action, environmental factors, or some combination of physical and psychological elements, the Havana Syndrome has already left an indelible mark on diplomatic security protocols and our understanding of unexplained neurological conditions. The Havana Syndrome stands as one of the most perplexing medical and geopolitical mysteries of our time. From its emergence in Cuba in 2016 to its global spread affecting over 200 government officials, it has defied simple explanation despite intensive investigation. The documented brain changes in victims establish that something real and physical has occurred, yet the mechanism remains elusive. Whether it represents a sophisticated attack using advanced technology, an environmental phenomenon, or some complex interaction of physical and psychological factors, the impact on victims has been undeniably real and often devastating. The syndrome has altered diplomatic relations, changed security protocols worldwide, and advanced our scientific understanding of how the brain responds to unusual stimuli. As research continues across multiple disciplines, the Havana Syndrome serves as a humbling reminder that despite our technological sophistication, the world still contains mysteries that challenge our understanding. For the affected diplomats and intelligence officers, the search for answers continues, not just as an academic exercise, but as a deeply personal quest to understand what happened to their minds and bodies while serving their countries abroad. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates. Your feedback is appreciated. We hope to see you again.